Good afternoon, and welcome to the first ever Rhode Island virtual Victims Growth and Crime Service Awards ceremony. My name is Candace Jondro, and I'm the Director of Victim Services at Family Service of Rhode Island. Family Service of Rhode Island is one of many victim service organizations and programs represented on the Rhode Island Crime Victim Service Provider Steering Committee, and I also serve as one of the chairs of that committee. As such, it is my great honor and privilege, on behalf of the committee, to welcome you all today as we recognize several individuals who have shown tremendous dedication to supporting, advocating for, and honoring the rights and dignity of Rhode Island victims of crime. Every April, the U.S. Department of Justice, Office for Victims of Crime, leads communities throughout the country in their annual observances of National Crime Victim Rights Week, which is a time to honor crime victims, celebrate our nation's progress in advancing their rights, and work toward expanding the reach of victim service programs. Typically, as we in Rhode Island observe National Crime Victim Rights Week, public officials, law enforcement, victim service providers, volunteers, and advocates come together in Victims Grove, which is located in downtown Providence's Veterans Memorial Park. We stand shoulder to shoulder with crime survivors and their loved ones to let them know that we have not forgotten them and that we continue to fight for them. Unfortunately, in light of COVID-19 recommendations around public gatherings and social distancing, we were very sad that we were unable to host the Victims Grove ceremony this year. But it was very important to us as a committee to come up with an alternative venue for acknowledging and celebrating the great work and dedication of today's awardees. And so here we are, our first virtual ceremony. Today's Crime Victim Service Awards are intended to recognize compassionate individuals who have demonstrated outstanding service in supporting victims and victim assistance programs. The committee considered nominations from just about anyone who wished to submit them, and in the end selected 9 very deserving award winners, including 1 Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. You'll be hearing more about each of these awardees today from Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Nerona, from the Rhode Island General Treasurer Seth Magaziner, and U.S. Attorney for the District of Rhode Island, Erin Weisman, as well as my committee co-chairs Angelica Spirito and Lisa Hubas. And you'll also hear from our awardees. Each of them will be receiving an engraved award and numerous letters and citations from various Rhode Island dignitaries. This year's theme for National Crime Victims' Right Week is Seek Justice, Ensure Victims' Rights, Inspire Hope. It commemorates the individuals and groups whose advocacy has propelled the victims' rights movement forward for the past half century, inspiring in victims and their loved ones a feeling of hope for progress, justice, and healing. We'd like to share a brief video with you from OVC about this year's theme. I know that many folks were able to see the video, but perhaps not hear it. Again, this is our first time doing a virtual ceremony, so we're working out the kinks as we go. But that video is available on the Office for Victims of Crime website. And when we post this ceremony for future viewing on both Family Service of Rhode Island's webpage, and also it will continue to be available on YouTube. We'll see if we can figure out the sound. What I can share with you about the theme then is that the theme encourages us to continually support policies, programs, and resources that are needed to adequately address the wide range of victim needs, both immediately following the crime and longer term in the months and years after the victimization, as many folks continue to struggle to recover their health, their security, and their dignity and achieve closure. This means that first and foremost, as a victim services community, we must treat victims and their families with compassion and respect. Second, we must empower them to identify their needs related to their physical, emotional, financial, and spiritual losses, and assist them in meeting those needs swiftly. Third, we must provide them with information about their statutory and constitutional rights, as well as advocacy to help implement those rights and actively participate in the criminal justice process. In Rhode Island, dozens of organizations have joined the Crime Victim Service Provider Steering Committee. We meet several times a year, and we share a commitment to best practice training and professional development for providers, advocates, and organizations about victimization, victims' rights, effective response, and available resources to preserve victims' dignity, restore their and their families' well-being, and support their involvement in the justice process. We are also working together diligently to expand our reach to previously underserved victim populations, which includes victims of color, victims of elder abuse, victims within the deaf and hard of hearing community, and victims within the LGBTQ community. We also are working to assist victims of crimes that have long been underreported, hate and bias crimes, sex and labor trafficking, among others. Very recently, we worked together to create the first ever Rhode Island Crime Victim Resource Guide, and I'm very excited to announce this today. The guide includes current comprehensive information about victim-focused organizations, services, and resources available in our state. You'll be able to find that guide on the Family Service of Rhode Island website, which is www.familyserviceri.org, and also on our Facebook page in the coming week. We're just putting the finishing touches on the guide. We'll also be ordering hard copies and quite a few and try and get those distributed as soon as it's safe to do so. We're very excited to get the word out about the guide and hope that victims and those serving them will not only find it useful, but will share it with others. Finally, as we prepare to announce all of our awardees, I would like to personally thank a few steering committee member organizations who assisted in various ways to make this virtual event possible. This includes the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence, the Nonviolence Institute, the Office of the Rhode Island General Treasurer, particularly his Crime Victim Compensation Program, Day One, Sojourner House, St. Mary's Home for Children, Sisters Overcoming Abusive Relationships, or SOAR, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Rhode Island's Victim Services Team, and a very special thank you to Attorney General Peter Nerona and his Victim Services Team. So with that, I would like to now turn it over to Attorney General Peter Nerona. Peter was sworn in as Rhode Island's 74th Attorney General after spending 20 plus years in public service, representing the people of Rhode Island as Assistant Attorney General, as an Assistant United States Attorney, and as the United States Attorney for the District of Rhode Island at the appointment of President Barack Obama. We are so pleased to have him with us today. He's going to share some more exciting news about the new voice system for victim notification of court proceedings that was recently launched. And he will be introducing our first awardee of the afternoon, winner of the 2020 Crime Victim Service Lifetime Achievement Award, Deb DeBear.
I'm Peter Nerona, Rhode Island's Attorney General, and welcome to the 2020 virtual Victims Grove ceremony. We take this time every year to remember victims and those who work so hard on their behalf. My office is about justice. It's about achieving justice on behalf of the people of the state of Rhode Island and victims. And so we rededicate ourselves every year at this time to that work, which is so incredibly important. I also want to take this opportunity to announce a new portal for victims and their families to get information about their cases. The portal is called Voice. And this office, along with the General Treasurer and our partners, worked really hard to make that a portal that is accessible and user-friendly. And I hope every victim and every family member of a victim will take the opportunity to use that portal to get more information about their case, to stay up to date as things are happening. Because a victim has a right to know what's going on in their case, and hopefully this will be an important tool to help make that happen. I also want to recognize and introduce an old friend, Deborah DeBear, who I've worked with for a long time, back when I was a line Assistant Attorney General and when I was U.S. Attorney and beyond. Deb has worked tirelessly over the years on behalf of victims. She continues that work today, and I can't think of anyone more deserving of a Lifetime Achievement Award than Deb DeBear. So congratulations to Deb and all the award winners, and we look forward to seeing you again next year, hopefully outside in Victims Grove.
And now, well, thank you, Peter, very much. And now we're going to hear a few words from Deb DeBear.
I just want to thank you so much for this honor and this recognition. It means a lot to me because the Crime Victim Service Providers Group has, ever since it began, always kept victims and survivors at the forefront of this ceremony. And that's really what the essence of the work is all about. I've also always been impressed with how it's been such a fabulous partnership between state officials, municipal officials, nonprofit providers, and advocates and survivors all together. So thank you so much. I truly mean it. I'm really honored and so excited to accept this award. Thank you all.
Again, thank you so much to Attorney General Noronha. And congratulations, Deb. You've left an amazing legacy behind in Rhode Island. So many of us have had the great pleasure and joy of working with you and seeing you do your thing and do it so well. On behalf of victims of crime, we're thrilled to know that you're continuing your good work on the national stage. It just feels good to know that you're still in our corner. Next, we're going to hear from Erin Weisman. Erin was confirmed by the United States Senate on January 2nd, 2019, to serve as United States Attorney for the District of Rhode Island. A career prosecutor, he previously served as an Assistant Attorney General and Chief of the Rhode Island Attorney General's Criminal Appeals Unit. During his tenure at the Attorney General's office, he represented Rhode Island's criminal justice interests before the Supreme Court of Rhode Island in hundreds of felony cases, including the appellate litigation of many of Rhode Island's most consequential criminal justice matters. We're very delighted that he had time to join us for a bit today. He's going to be introducing our next Crime Victim Service awardee, Trisha Martland.
National Crimes Victims Week is about recognizing the really meaningful but often challenging work of the crime victims field. It is a time to commemorate the individuals and groups whose advocacy has propelled, now for some 50 years, the victims' rights movement forward, and has inspired in victims and their loved ones a feeling of hope for progress, justice, and of healing. During this week, we rededicate ourselves, honoring the experiences of victims and empowering them to find autonomy and healing. We rededicate ourselves to assisting crime victims find support, recovery, justice, and a greater sense of hope for the future. We rededicate ourselves to ensuring that accessible, appropriate, and trauma-informed services are freely and wholeheartedly offered to all victims of crime. In this vein, I am so pleased to recognize Roger Williams Law Professor Trisha Martland, a former colleague of mine at the Attorney General's office, who has given so much of her professional and personal life to supporting, recognizing, and empowering victims of crime. Trisha provides pro bono legal advice for victims of crime through numerous community partnerships. She sits on the board of Lucy's Hearth, a homeless shelter for women and children in Middletown. She helped launch Rhode Island's State Victim Assistance Academy, and through her inspiring and empowering work at Roger Williams University Law School, she guides future lawyers in offering free assistance to victims of crime in securing restraining orders. So I'm so pleased then to congratulate Trisha for her career-long advocacy and efforts in the victims' rights movement. Congratulations and thank you.
And now we're going to hear a few words from Trisha Martland, a wonderful human being. That's all I have to say about that.
Hi, Trisha Martland here. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity to receive this award on the behalf of my work with victims of domestic violence and domestic advocacy. I've been part of the Rhode Island State Victims Assistance Academy for more years than I'd like to recount, and it's honestly been such an amazing experience getting to know all the different advocates and also being able to work with them and give them and share with them some best practices to work with victims. It's something I look forward to doing every July, and even amid the pandemic, I look forward to doing it hopefully sometime towards the end of the summer. But thank you so much for the award. I'm honored to have it, and I'm honored to be part of such a fabulous organization doing the work that to me really speaks to my heart. So just know how much I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Erin, very much for being with us again this year, as you were last year for our ceremony. And congratulations to you, Trisha. I've known Trisha for some time now and have always enjoyed working with her. The committee overwhelmingly, just as with Deb DeBear and with all of our awardees, quite frankly, just thrilled to be able to show our appreciation for your passion, your kindness, and your commitment to the cause. So thank you again. Congratulations. Okay, so moving on to our next presenter, I'm very happy to share that Rhode Island General Treasurer Seth Magaziner is joining us. In addition to working to expand economic opportunity and financial stability for all Rhode Islanders, Seth has shown a longstanding and deep commitment to supporting crime victims. His office administers our state's crime victim compensation program, through which more than 1,200 Rhode Island residents who were victims of violent crimes received financial assistance in 2019. Over the years, Seth has successfully advocated for expansion of this essential program. He'll be speaking more about the program, and also he'll be introducing our next awardee, Smithfield Police Detective Sergeant Greg L. Catlow.
Thank you to all of the members of the victims advocacy community, the legal community, and first responders for all of the work that you do to assist and advocate for victims of crime. The work that each of you do is vital to ensure victims' rights and seek justice for vulnerable Rhode Islanders. The Rhode Island Crime Victims Compensation Program, which is administered by our office, is a proud collaborator in this work. While no amount of money can erase the impact of a violent crime, the Crime Victims Compensation Fund can help. In particular, during the COVID-19 epidemic, there has been a surge in reports of domestic violence in Rhode Island and across our country. The Crime Victims Compensation Program can provide emergency relocation funds to help get victims away from their abusers and to safety, so that families can begin to heal. The Crime Victims Compensation Program can also help victims of violent crime with expenses such as crime scene cleanup, transportation, lost wages, and medical bills not covered by insurance. Victims shouldn't have to focus on the financial burdens that result from being the victim of a crime. The Crime Victims Compensation Program is here to help. You can find more information at ricvcp.com. I just want to end once again by thanking all of you. Thank you to Attorney General Nerona for his leadership, and to all of the victims of violent crime in Rhode Island. We are here for you, we're with you, and you have our full and undivided support. Detective Sergeant Greg L. Catlow of the Smithfield Police Department was nominated for his award by day one. Sergeant Catlow is a 2002 graduate of Salve Regina University with a bachelor's degree in administration of justice. Later in 2002, he attended the Rhode Island Municipal Police Academy and joined the Smithfield Police Department. He served in the Patrol Division until being transferred to the Detective Division in 2008. In 2009, Detective Sergeant Catlow received a master's degree in Justice and Homeland Security from Salve Regina. He was promoted to Detective Sergeant in 2011, where he presently serves. In addition to his supervisory role in the Detective Division, Detective Sergeant Catlow investigates all types of crimes. He serves as a firearms instructor and as the department's juvenile officer. He is a member of Rhode Island's Human Trafficking Task Force, as well as the state's Cold Case Task Force. He also conducts training to educate the community in areas of human trafficking. Detective Sergeant Catlow resides in Smithfield with his wife Karen, who serves as a sergeant with the Jamestown Police Department, and their son Ethan. Congratulations and thank you to Detective Sergeant Catlow for your extraordinary work.
Thank you so much, Seth. I can also share that in his position as Detective Sergeant, Greg has gone above and beyond advocating for victims of sexual assault in particular, child molestation, human trafficking. Victims and service providers alike have shared with me that Greg is first class, that he's known for his patience and compassion and his never give up attitude. He does incredible work on some of the most difficult cases, and is able to personally connect with youth in particular to ensure they have the resources and supports they need and understand what's happening both in the investigation and in the criminal justice process. And we know that young victims in particular can kind of get lost in that process. But Greg works really hard to keep them informed. And also he's known for taking his own time to stop by the local high school or a local area group home, trying to connect with the youth there who are at the greatest risk for sex trafficking. So we need more people like Greg, for sure. So congratulations, Greg. We'll be hearing from you next.
Thank you to the treasurer and to all the other dignitaries for taking the time out of your busy schedules to honor us today. I also want to thank Day One and the great folks there and Maureen Philbin for nominating me for this recognition, as well as the committee, who I'm sure put so much effort into this event. We do really appreciate it. This represents for me a learning experience that I've had over the past several years. Often as police officers, we seek justice in the traditional sense, where we investigate crimes, hopefully arrest the perpetrator, and prosecute them in court. As a detective, you quickly learn that that sort of traditional justice may not always be possible, and we don't know what all the outcomes will be. And that can be really hard for someone who has turned to the police for help, to find that they may not be getting exactly what they were seeking. What I've learned, though, is that it's really much more than that anyways. And while it's really hard to go to the police, and it takes a lot of courage, if we can give a survivor acknowledgement and continued support, then I think that we can help them find a better sense of justice, no matter what the outcome of their case is. And we should be leaving them with a sense that someone has their back. I'm glad that over the last several years, I've had the opportunity to try to do that. And I'm also thankful that I've been able to meet and work with and learn from so many great, talented people inside and outside of law enforcement. I think that I'm definitely a better police officer because of it. So thank you again, and congratulations to all the other awardees.
Again, Greg, we just need more people like you in the world. Congratulations. Our next awardee is Mr. Vincent Clement, and I have the distinct honor of introducing him to you all. Mr. Clement is the father and grandfather of 2 homicide victims. His son, George Holland Sr., at 29, was stabbed and killed in October of 2009. And his grandson, George Holland Jr., at 17, was shot and killed in February of 2014. Mr. Clement has endured more in his life than most of us ever will, and yet he has handled it all with grace and resilience, including the very daunting criminal justice process, not once but twice. Throughout the years, Mr. Clement has become a strong advocate and supporter for not only his family, but for other homicide survivors and his community as a whole. He has been a voice of calm and a source of strength for his and other families and community members faced with the loss of a loved one as a result of violence. Mr. Clement's son, George Holland Sr., was the father of 8, and Mr. Clement has gone above and beyond to care for his grandchildren in every way that he can, and to ensure that they continue to grow up together and honor their father's memory. I am very, very pleased to present our next 2020 Crime Victim Service Award to Mr. Vincent Clement. Let's take a moment to hear a few words from him.
Good, y'all. Giving first honor to God, I am grateful and humbled to be one of this year's Crime Victim Service Award recipients. In recognition of the Crime Victims' Rights Week, I wanted to thank Family Services of Rhode Island and my friends Lisa and Tommy from the Institute of Nonviolence for their commitment and support in receiving this award. In addition, I wanted to recognize and thank all family members connected to the Holland and Clement clans, because I can never do this by myself. When I think about this year's NCVRW theme, seeking justice, ensuring victims' rights, and inspiring hope, it is the hope above all else that motivates me to continue to fight. As a victim of violence, I lost 2 family members, my son George Matthew Holland Sr. and George Matthew Holland Jr., my grandson. The pain from their loss continues to haunt me, but hope allows me to heal over time and to support others within the community who have experienced loss, pain as well. We need hope to pass on to others and to continue towards finding solutions to crime within our neighborhoods. Hope encourages development of spiritual warriors, which we so desperately require, because our community requires ongoing support. Once again, my thanks to the Crime Victim Service Award Program, and may God bless our country. Respectfully, Vincent Clement.
Mr. Clement, I can't overstate the respect and admiration that the committee members have for you. We are so pleased to offer you this small token of our appreciation, and so grateful that you are part of today's ceremony. This is a good day. This is a lot of good news and a lot of joy, and I'm really, really happy that we're doing this. Okay, continuing on. Our next presenter is Angelica Spirito of St. Mary's Home for Children. There she serves as Child and Family Trauma Treatment Program Coordinator for Outpatient Services, also known as the Shepherd Program. The program provides a variety of services to support children, adults, and families impacted by sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, and other traumas. I've had the great pleasure of tri-chairing the committee with Angelica over the past year. She's a lot of fun. She's a great human being and just so helpful to me and to others in every way. So I'm glad that she's here with us today. She's going to be introducing our next awardees, Cranston Police Detective Michael Iacone, and everyone's favorite victim advocate, therapy support dog Callie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angelica Spirito from St. Mary's Home for Children, and I am here to welcome you all to the National Crime Victims' Rights Week virtual ceremony 2020. I am here on behalf of St. Mary's to share a little bit about the Crime Victim Service Award that's being presented to Detective Michael Iacone and Canine Callie, Comfort Therapy Dog from the Cranston Police Department. Detective Michael Iacone is an 18-year veteran of the Cranston Police Department. He is a detective in the Special Victims Unit, where he is entrusted with investigating crimes of abuse and or neglect and or sexual exploitation against children and teens. Detective Iacone is an active member of the Rhode Island Human Trafficking Task Force, which works closely with other police departments in the state of Rhode Island, Homeland Security, FBI, medical and mental health providers working with youth who have been impacted by trafficking and or trauma. Detective Iacone embodies dedication, sincere passion, and compassion for youth who have experienced trauma. Even after the formalities of the interviews end, Detective Iacone's commitment to the child's mental health remains steadfast, often checking in with the family to see how they are doing. Although his job is challenging, Detective Iacone maintains a positive and upbeat attitude, all while taking care of his four-legged partner, Callie. Callie is distinguished in her own right, as she is the first comfort therapy dog to serve as a member of a Rhode Island Police Department, as well as the first resident canine in a local hospital, Hasbro Children's Hospital, specifically working in the Lawrence A. Auburn Center, with her other handler, Dr. Christine Barron. Callie provides support to children who have experienced abuse and or neglect, including sexual and physical abuse, as they meet with law enforcement and medical professionals. Like her detective dad, Callie is quite active within the community, often visiting elementary schools, local colleges, and attending community events. The impact of Callie's presence with any child, let alone a child who has to talk about a traumatic experience and or experiences, is priceless. To quote a youth who has benefited from the support of Callie, this youth writes, "Callie provided a sense of calm in a very overwhelming and stressful situation. I was very scared, and having to talk with detectives who are complete strangers seemed nearly impossible. Callie made me feel safe, and the second I saw her, I could breathe a little better. Although my nerves were still high, Callie greatly lessened my anxiety and helped ground me. I was distracted and focused on her instead of what I was saying. I am so thankful for Callie's support then, now, and in the future. Callie is truly a remarkable dog. Her heartfelt presence helped me through an extremely difficult time in my life. Every child in Rhode Island should be able to experience Callie's love." Please join me in congratulating Detective Michael Iacone and Canine Callie on receiving this Crime Victim Service Award. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angelica. Next, we have Cranston Police Detective Michael Iacone, who's going to say a few words in accepting his award.
behalf of Callie and I would like to thank you for this award. It has been an honor over the past 7 years working as a detective in the Special Victims Unit of the Cranston Police Department. During that time, I have seen the negative impact of sexual and physical abuse and the role it has played on so many victims. Oftentimes, children of sexual abuse don't know what is happening to them is wrong. They have been convinced that this is normal, everyday acts being committed by a person that they know, trust, even love. In many cases, once they realize what is being done to them is unacceptable, they may still not speak up because they feel ashamed or believe that it happened because of something that they have done. This unfortunately occurs not just with children, but with adult victims as well. I've had the privilege to watch, stand beside, and be a part of supporting so many children and adult victims that gain their voice that had been taken away. To watch these survivors use their voice and come forward to relive these heinous acts that have been committed to them fuels me to seek justice and hold those responsible accountable for these acts. Callie has been an amazing support for the children and adults that we work with. Having Callie with me during these investigations allows for the survivor to take their mind off the most traumatic life experience they have ever dealt with to a place of normalcy, calmness, and innocence as they spend time just petting or interacting with her. Imagine being a child and having to go to a strange place and talk to an adult they have never met before about such a traumatic event, and walking in to see Callie. She always brings a smile to their face. She helps them through this very difficult process that makes their experience a little more tolerable. It has been an honor over the past 7 years to be able to watch these survivors use that voice, strong and loud, to inspire hope, encouraging others to come forward and end the abuse. Teach others to use their voice and to say it's not all right. I don't deserve this. This is not normal. I did nothing wrong for this to happen to me. I have had enough. Time to make a change to end the abuse. On behalf of all the survivors that Callie and I have had the privilege to work with, this is an award for each and every one of you. Thank you.
Detective Iacone, thank you very much for your very thoughtful words and for participating with us today. Congratulations to you. We're very happy to be able to honor you in this way. And how about that Callie? I mean, come on, it's like she was born for the camera. Just what a great team, both of you. Thank you again, and thank you to Angelica. Okay, so we're nearing the home stretch. Our next presenter is Lisa Hoopus. She's also a committee tri-chair. Lisa is Director of Community and Education Programs at Sojourner House. And Sojourner House is a long-standing organization dedicating to promoting healthy relationships by providing culturally sensitive support, advocacy, housing, emergency assistance, and education for victims and survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. Over the past 40 years, Sojourner House has served over 60,000 victims of these and other crimes, offering support groups, emergency shelter, transitional housing, sexual health advocacy, emotional support, and linkage to community services and resources. Just a wonderful organization, a great partner in the victim services field. Lisa is going to be introducing awardees Christy DeCenzo and Robin Garagosian. Lisa.
Christy DeCencio and Robin Girgosian are two SAW members who played crucial roles in passing the Protect All Children's Bill in 2019. This law allows survivors to include any of their minor children in a family court restraining order, regardless of whether or not those children are related to the abuser by blood or marriage. Christy and Robin brought this issue to spotlight and worked tirelessly to get this legislation passed the very first year that it was introduced. Through powerful testimony and persistent advocacy, they went above and beyond to raise awareness about this issue and create systematic change to eliminate the hoops and barriers that survivors had to go through when wanting to ensure their family's safety. Before the bill's passage, survivors filed for separate, expensive juvenile restraining orders to protect all of their children. Abusers who violated these orders could not be arrested, leaving children vulnerable to further abuse. Thanks to Christy, Robin, and SOAR's advocacy, survivors can now eliminate paperwork, court date, expenses, and stress in their efforts to seek protection with the passing of this law.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Next, we're going to hear a few words from awardee Robin Guragosian. Much respect. I hope I said that right.
And I just want to say thank you to the Rhode Island Crime Victim Service Providers Steering Committee, for the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence, my children, which are my driving force, and everyone else who has supported me through the years. I'm truly humbled and honored to receive this award today. It is such a true honor that I was able to have a voice to help our children in the future, to help future survivors, and I really am honored to receive this. Thank you all again for your support, and thank you truly for this award.
Robin, congratulations, truly, to you and Christy. It is very much due to the strength and resilience and drive of individuals like you and Christy and the others who are members, who use your experience, your wisdom, and your voices to raise awareness of domestic violence and advocate for change. In the hopes that the services, policies, and laws become more and more trauma informed and better able to meet the needs of victims and their children. Thank you so much for what you do. Okay, I'm kind of bummed out to say that we now are at our two last awardees. Again, I have the great honor of introducing them. The last two 2020 Crime Victim Service Awards go to Providence Police Detectives Jeff Richards and George Swart. Both are long-standing Providence law enforcement, known, kind of famous across the victim service community as incredibly sensitive and attentive to victims' needs. They routinely check on victims to ensure that they are feeling safe and secure during the investigatory process, and also that they understand what's happening with the investigations. And they really go above and beyond in just trying to make sure that the victims are okay. They even provide transportation to victims occasionally in need of therapy appointments or to get to law enforcement proceedings, things of that nature, which is really going above and beyond their typical law enforcement duties. So notably, in December of 2019, both Detectives Richards and Swart were honored by the U.S. Attorney General William P. Barr for distinguished service in policing, specifically for their roles in investigating the kidnapping and sexual assault of a high school student as she walked to school in 2017. You'll hear from the detectives here in a moment that it was a very, very challenging investigation, but they were not thwarted, and they worked day and night to apprehend their suspect, soon discovering that he was a serial rapist posing as an Uber driver. Detectives Swart and Richards were able to identify additional young women as victims. While the criminal case is still, in fact, open, Colonel Hugh T. Clements Jr., Chief of the Providence Police, at the time said in an email statement that our comprehensive approach, meaning the Providence Public Police Department's comprehensive approach with our community partners, has led to great success with continued reductions in violent crime and solid trust within the community, and that the recognition that these detectives received from the Attorney General validates the police department's commitment. We are thrilled to be able to honor both detectives today, and I'd like to give them an opportunity to say a few words.
I do. I'm Detective Jeff Richards, Providence Police Department. I'd like to thank the awards committee for this great honor and selection for this award. I also like to thank Family Services of Rhode Island, and a special thanks to Callo from Family Services of Rhode Island, who nominated us for this award. She was also a major part of this investigation, very difficult investigation dealing with juveniles. So I'd like to give a thanks to Callo and the help that she provided us during this investigation.
My name is Detective George Stewart of Providence Police Department, and I'd also like to thank Family Services of Rhode Island. I'd like to thank the nomination board and also Callo I just would like to say that working with family services over the last few years has helped Jeff and I greatly, especially working with these cases. We've learned that these cases need to be victim-centered, and to balance that with our law enforcement goals. And with the help of family services in Callo, we have been able to do that. So thank you all so much.
And there you have it. A group of 9 wonderful, amazing individuals. And I'm so glad that we have this opportunity to share a bit about them with all of you. It kind of brings us to the end of our award ceremony. Again, I want to thank you all for being here, whether you're checking us out on Facebook or via YouTube. I wanted to let you all know that a video of the full ceremony will be available in both venues going forward. I want to thank all of our presenters and very sincere thanks and gratitude to our awardees for being who you are and doing what you do. I'd like to close by saying nearly every one of us knows someone who has been victimized, or we ourselves have been touched by crime. And every year, National Crime Victim Rights Week reminds us that there is still so much to do to help victims rebuild their lives. And it also offers us an opportunity to renew our collective commitment to reaching and supporting every victim of crime right here in Rhode Island. I hope today you will all join me in doing so. So thank you again. And we're going to try one more time to play the video that we kind of opened with to see if we can get that sound right. We think it's an important message for everyone and a great way to end our day together. Thank you.
Justice for a victim can be everything from a guilty verdict to feeling heard and valued.
It's taking the time to listen to what the victim's needs are and making sure that we can help the individuals that have suffered violence, suffered a tragedy, suffered a crime, that we help them heal.
Seeking justice is ensuring that the victim is protected and that they're safe, especially when they're being removed from a traumatic situation.
People that work in the criminal justice system, they understand that the rights of victims are there. They are the bedrock that tells the world this is what victims need.
Do you have a court date coming up? Ensuring that victims have those rights and that they're respected and treated with dignity throughout the entire process is really crucial.
Everyone has the right to heal and to create a story that is filled with hope